Hey everyone, welcome back to Shop Life. We're back at it again with another talking video. So this video has been requested a lot ever since I posted the which E46 I recommend that you should buy video. Ever since that video, a lot of people have been requesting one specifically for the M3. So today we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna actually split this video up into a couple of sections. We're gonna go through the Holy Grail M3. So this is the one that, I would, if you're trying to buy it as an investment, so, something that's just gonna keep appreciating and you can sell it in the future or just hang on to it just to have it. So that's the Holy Grail M3. Then we're gonna have the cheapest way to get into an M3 and be a part of the whole E46 M3 community. This is gonna be the cheapest way to get into one. Then we have the daily M3. So this is for the person that wants to just buy an M3 as their daily driver, or like even just a weekend driver where they can just take it on trips and stuff. So this is for that. That's just gonna be, I'll just go over like the ones that are pretty much in the middle ground. They're not the cheapest, but they're still desirable and it'll make a good daily car. And then we have the final option, which is gonna be the track option. So this is only for the track. So, for a track car, no matter what kind of car you get, whenever you're going to take it on the track, you have to do a lot of stuff to it. So that section will go over which M3s to look for if you're trying to buy it only for the track. The newest E46 M3 that you're going to be able to buy was made in 2006. So that's almost 13 years ago. So regardless of, the mileage or anything you get, the car is going to need some work. Unless it was, drained of all fluids, put it somewhere in a bubble where no elements ever got to it, is gonna need some work. So I've got an entire video that goes over the common E46 M3 problems, which I'll have that link down below. Make sure you go check that out before you start considering purchasing an M3. I'll also have a couple of videos on the whole Vanos system and even the whole SMG stuff. That way you get more informed about all of the systems that are on the car that are prone for failure. But anyways, let's just start with the best of the best, the Holy Grail M3. So as I said before, the Holy Grail M3 is the one that you want to buy as an investment. So for this, the first criteria that you have is the lower the miles, the better. So preferably anything under 50,000 miles, it would be considered low mileage. And you're not going to be expected to put that many miles on the car. So even 10, 15 years down the road, if it's less than 50,000 miles, you're going to be around, let's say, 60, maybe 70,000 miles if you put on about 1,000 miles a year. But even then, like I said, it's probably still going to need some work. But let's just go with the whole options. So I would definitely look for a 2005 or 6. The newer, the better. Even if you can get one that's like closer to the last production date, that would be awesome. So somewhere in 2006, that's probably the most preferable, most desirable. And then now the packages. So the one that you want for an investment is the competition package. The competition package is the closest that you're going to get to anything of the CSL caliber. The CSL is not available in the United States, so this video is more, I'm in the United States, so I'm going to be speaking more for the United States audience. But if you're in Europe, you're lucky enough to have access to the CSL, so I would definitely get my hands on that. But continue on with the US. So competition package, something that you definitely want, just because of all of the upgrades that are available on there, the brakes, even the steering wheel interface is a little bit different. The factory wheels that come on there are different as well. So competition package, definitely a check mark on there. Next thing you want to look at is the color combo. So it's pretty obvious, the rarer the combo, the better. So if you can find anything that's individual spec'd, interior and exterior, that will be definitely one of the best things that you can do. And if you're looking at a car with less than 50,000 miles, more than likely the interior should be in really good condition still, as should all the rubber seals and all that on the exterior. So like the window seals, the windshield cowl and all that. But even if it isn't that good of a condition, if it's less than 50,000 miles, you should still be able to replace all of those rubber seals on the outside. The interior is kind of harder to do, especially if you find one with a rarer spec. So definitely individual is a way to go for the exterior and interior option. Now moving on, SMG or manual. So if you're going to be getting a competition package, it did also come with SMG transmissions. So I mean, that's even though it's an SMG, since it is a competition package car, it's still kind of worth it. It still would be considered a Holy Grail car. But if you really want, at the top of the top, I would definitely look for a 6-speed manual. That's definitely the way to go. So 6-speed manual, competition package, individual color combo, inside and out if possible. 2005 or 6, the newer the better. Less than 50,000 miles, the lower the miles, the better. And, you know, some people probably think that's common sense as an investment car. But still, I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that people don't consider when they're just trying to buy one as an investment. And if you're already spending all that money, if it's just a couple thousand more, it's still worth it. Because if you're buying it as an investment, you're not trying to flip it the next day. You're going to be holding on to it for a while. Now, let's say you want to buy it as an investment, but you still want to, you know, find it. Because pretty much while listed, that you're not going to find that. It's going to be really hard to find. So if you still want a Holy Grail car, the year, the mileage, and, you know, I would still stick with the 6-speed manual, but you can probably have a little bit more leeway on the color combo. So, and also for the competition package. If you don't find one with the competition package, I will look for another fully loaded car. So this is like with navigation, parking sensors, tire pressure monitoring system, all of that stuff. Even though those systems might fail, it's better to have them from the factory rather than having to retrofit them yourself as like the OEM plus option. So if you can find one that's already had all the full option out from factory, that's the way to go. Still 2005-6, the newer the better, lower the miles, 6-speed manual. As far as color combo goes, I would look for an Imola, Phoenix Yellow, Laguna Seca Blue, Interlagos Blue, Alpine White, any of those more desirable colors. And also for the interior, I would definitely stay away from the Dove Gray. I would go with like, even stay away from the black because that's pretty common. So I would stick with like a cinnamon or Imola red or any, even, I know there's a Laguna Seca Blue interior out there as well, which is probably not the best looking, especially if you get a Laguna Seca Blue car. But that's another option as far as rarity goes as well. So that pretty much covers the Holy Grail topic. Now let's move on to the cheapest way to get into an M3. The M3 prices vary quite a bit. If you go on your local classifieds, I'm sure you'll see a bunch of ones that are under 10,000, and you'll also see a bunch that are over 20,000. So as far as the cheapest one that you're going to probably be able to find is going to be a convertible M3. It's going to have SMG, probably silver exterior, gray interior, and it probably won't be in the best condition, but that's probably the cheapest way that you're going to get into an M3. And it's still a good thing to be part of the E46, even just the E46 community as a whole, but having an M3 is still good, convertible or not. So with the convertible, the cheaper you go, it's probably gonna need a little bit more maintenance. Like I said, any of these will need maintenance, but the cheaper you go, more than likely it was more abused or it might have more issues with it. And we're not even talking about salvage title, clean title. I would definitely stick with a clean title, but if you can find a really good deal on a salvage title that did not have much damage and you have pictures of all the repairs and stuff, that's still an option, especially if you're just trying to get into a cheap M3. Salvage title shouldn't be that big of a deal as long as all the repairs were correct and no frame damage. So that pretty much covers the cheapest way to get into an M3. Next one is going to be the daily M3. So this is the M3 that, you just want to get. You're going to drive it every day or every couple days. It's more of not an investment. It might even stay outside, so you're not really too worried about it. So this is something that I wouldn't spend too much money on. The price range for one of these M3s will all depend on the maintenance history and some of the options as well. So usually the mileage on a daily M3, that if you're looking for one, I would stick around 100,000 miles. A little bit more, even like 150 is okay if they have a lot of maintenance history. It's like, water pumps, cooling systems. The M3 cooling systems are a little bit more robust, but something like that with a lot more maintenance done to it with more miles is okay because that's less stuff that you'll have to do. But make sure you have records. Don't just take the word for anybody. Always have records, or always have the ability to check yourself to see what was done. Before purchasing any car, I would definitely recommend getting a PPI, a pre-purchase inspection, from somebody that the seller is not familiar with. That way, you at least get a whole outlook on what to expect for as far as repairs go and what you might have to do in the future. So definitely get a PPI. That way you pretty much estimate whatever cost you're going to have, and you can figure that into when you're purchasing the car. And then also continuing with the daily, the year doesn't really matter as much because, like I said, you're not buying it as an investment. But I would still try to stick with a little bit newer. 2004 or newer had the updated rod bearings. But if you get one that's older, like a 01, 02, or 03, just make sure that they had the rod bearing recall done and you have some kind of paperwork of that. That way, it's already been done. I'm not entirely sure if the dealerships are still offering that recall as far as the rod bearings go. I'm pretty sure they're not, but some dealerships might make that exception. So I would definitely make sure it has been done. The airbags and all that on any of the M3s, if it hasn't been done yet, you still have time to do that. So that's something that you shouldn't really have to worry about. And now as far as the daily M3 goes, the color combo shouldn't really matter too much. But if you want something desirable, still look like, the carbon black is always good. Black on black, you can't really go wrong. Even if it's a silver with a black interior, that's still really nice. And then the big thing will be the SMG or 6-speed. So this is going to be all on preference. If you want to drive manual every day, then definitely that's the way to go. But if you want to get an SMG, just be prepared for the SMG failures. As we all know then, the SMG was definitely a very advanced system for its time. But as they're aging, if everything is not running that well, it's going to have a lot of issues. But there's always the option of converting the SMG to 6-speed manual. But if you're trying to buy it as a daily, I don't think you want to have that big project on your hands right away. So I would definitely look for what you want and just make sure you get that PPI where they'll look through all of that stuff. That pretty much covers the daily M3. Now we're on to the track M3. So the track M3, this is the car that you don't care how it looks. It doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter of the condition of the interior. It doesn't really matter about maintenance as much, as long as it's running and driving and the engine's pretty healthy. And main reason I say this is because as a track car, doesn't matter how clean the car is, the maintenance history on it, you're gonna want to make sure it's track ready. So by that, I mean, you definitely wanna put a roll cage in the car. That way you can pretty much knock out the whole rear subframe mounting point issue. With a roll cage, that if it ties into that rear subframe, you shouldn't have any problems with the subframe tearing out. So that's something that you're definitely gonna wanna do as a track car. Also, you're gonna do all the maintenance. So if you really don't have maintenance records, before you take it to the track, you're gonna bulletproof the vanos, you're gonna do the rod bearings, even if they were done before. You're just gonna look over the health of the car, timing chains, the tensioners, all that. So it really doesn't matter too much as long as the engine is somewhat healthy. So the mileage shouldn't be a big deal there. The transmission, SMG or 6-speed, shouldn't really matter because if you're buying it for the track, I would definitely, depending on what your preference is, you can keep it as SMG, even though it might have more issues in the future. But even if you get an SMG, you can still convert it to the 6-speed manual, and you're gonna wanna do more maintenance on that, new clutch, flywheel, all that, and also all the suspension, control arms, all the bushings, probably go with poly bushings and all that. So all that stuff's gonna get replaced. So the mileage shouldn't be that big of an issue. And also salvage title. I mean, I would definitely go for a salvaged M3 just because as long as there's no frame damage, shouldn't really make a difference. If the quarter panel is a little bent, if the gaps don't line up, that's less stuff you have to worry about on the track. So for the track, I mean, you don't want to take a really nice clean M3 to the track just because, I mean, it's worth quite a bit, and I would rather I'd rather enjoy looking at it and driving it, on the weekends or whatnot, than taking it to the track where you risk damaging or really messing it up. When you can just buy a cheaper M3 and get that track ready, which will be also a lot more reliable on the track. With all new suspension, the engine overhauled, is probably gonna even feel better than a low mileage M3 because everything is gonna be new when you take it on the track. But one thing that you do wanna stick with for a track M3 is a coupe. The convertible is significantly heavier and it doesn't really make sense to have that extra weight. So I would definitely stick with the coupe. If you can find one without a sunroof, that will give you a little bit more headroom and you get a little bit weight savings. But that's something that you really don't have to sweat. You can always take the sunroof out and you could put a panel in its place that's made out of fiberglass or carbon fiber for the same weight savings. For the track M3, I mean, you just want the worst M3 that you can find that has good bones. So somewhat of a healthy engine that you can just overhaul and a good chassis. Another thing on the track M3 is the differential. A lot of these differentials, the limited slips, they're gonna have a lot more play in them, especially with more miles, especially if it was abused. There's a lot of options at M Factory, Wave Track, a lot of people that make whole differential overhaul kits where you can even adjust the gear ratio. So as a track car, that's something that you're gonna wanna do anyways, so that way you can get the best out of the car. So that pretty much goes over which E46 M3 to buy. I mean, the color combos and all that, like I said, individual spec is the way to go for holy grail for investment, just because the rarer the car, the more money you're gonna get for it in the future. It might not even look that good, like with some of the color combos, but rarity usually means more money in the future. And the way I see it right now, compared to the last like 5-6 years, the E46 M3 price did go already to its very, very bottom, and now it's starting to climb back up. And if you even look on YouTube, if you just type in E46 M3, there's so many people mentioning just E46 M3s lately, saying, you know, just how they were probably one of the pinnacle of BMW engineering and all of that. Even though it does have its flaws, like I've mentioned in one of the other videos that's linked down below, those flaws are for the most part, you can repair them, and it does make for an amazing car. The E46 M3, still by today's standards, can keep up with a lot of cars, especially on the track. And they still handle really, really well. BMW is still trying to get that same drivability feeling in their newer cars, like the M2 Competition Pack. You know, a lot of people say it's as close to the E46 M3 as any car that BMW has produced since the M3, the E46 M3 at that. But yeah, so that pretty much sums up this video. Hopefully there's still some M3s out there in the future when I'm ready to buy one. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any other video requests, make sure you leave them down below. Make sure you go follow us on our social media. Shop Life TV, BMW Selena, she's behind the camera. We always have updates on there. We also have the vlog channel where you can see more of our day-to-day stuff, that's more of our creative outlet. We're not as professional on there. It makes for more entertainment, so make sure you go check out Shop Life Vlogs YouTube channel, and you'll probably see a little bit more of Fluffy on there as well. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in my next video.